It was my dream to work in Hollywood. Since I was like 5 years old. I worked in New York and LA. It was about 16 years. I was about 8 months pregnant with my little one, saying, you know what? I don't want to miss dinner time anymore. I don't want to miss bedtime. Well, who am I if I'm not this? I accomplished that dream. So let's check the box on that. Let's see what else I can do. They are worthy of finding something that fills them up. Divorced around 60. She was 60 and she just recreated herself and reinvented herself, and it's just beautiful. She found herself.
Hey there, it's Cindy Thomas, your career coach and strategist. The Insiders Career Club was recently rated in the top 20 job search podcasts by FeedSpot. Check out their website link. It'll be in the podcast notes. Now, let's meet our special guest. It's Cindy Thomas again, and I am here to introduce you to a wonderful guest. Her name is Shannon Russell, and she is a career transition business coach. She is also an exit strategy expert and CEO of Second Act Success Coaching. Shannon, welcome to the Insiders Career Club podcast. How are you?
Great, Cindy. Thank you for having me.
I'm looking forward to a conversation. I'm sure it's going to be a great one, and I'm pretty darn sure that people are going to benefit from this conversation of us today. So tell me, what inspired you to leave your career that you had? And I believe it was, you were a television broadcast producer, right?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, my niece is in, she does the news. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what made you decide to leave that career and go into lean towards entrepreneurship? Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, it was my dream to work in Hollywood since I was like 5 years old. And so I really wanted to do that. I was able to accomplish it. I worked in New York and LA. It was about 16 years. And at that point, I had a 3-year-old and a newborn, or a new one on the way. And I just had an epiphany when I was about 8 months pregnant with my little one, saying, you know what? I don't want to miss dinner time anymore. I don't want to miss bedtime. I don't want to stress leaving Manhattan to get on the train back to pick up for daycare by 6 o'clock. It felt like an impossible constant in my life of just clock and travel and hustle and missing things. And that was when I finally started thinking about, okay, I accomplished that dream. So let's check the box on that. I did it. Let's see what else I can do. And that's when I started thinking about producing my own life and figuring out what that meant, and eventually got into entrepreneurship and opened a franchise as my first business.
I like the term producing my own life. What goes along with that, why aren't you the leading lady in your own life, that comes from that movie?
Yes.
Oh, I can't think of the name of it. It's got Cameron Diaz in it and Jack Black and
Oh, yes.
Holiday. Yeah, it's The Holiday. Yes. And he says, the gentleman that was in Hollywood working, like, he says, why aren't you the leading lady in your own life?
Mm-hmm.
And that producing your own life reminds me of that.
Yeah.
What were the fears and challenges that you faced when you did this, when you started to do your own business and go off on your own?
Actually, it was, what else on earth can I do? You know, I have a very niche career in one of two cities at the time, New York or LA. And what else can I do if I'm not on a TV set or in a studio? And I had to really do that inner work of asking myself, okay, what else can I do? Let's look at my skills. Let's look at my experience. Let's really appreciate all that and then start to see where that could transfer. So that was a big fear. And then a fear, of course, on especially working in the entertainment industry, who you are is so much of your identity. It's how people know you. And when I got married, I didn't change my last name because everyone knew me as Shannon Russell. And that's how I got my jobs and my next gig, if you will. So yeah, it was kind of thinking about, well, who am I if I'm not this? And what will other people think? And, you know, all those normal fears I think a lot of people have when they're thinking about changing careers or starting something new. And I was pretty alone just trying to figure that all out. So it took some time to figure out how to get past those fears.
How do you, in your business, because you do help individuals, women especially, transition from the careers that they're in to running a business.
Yeah.
So how do you identify if someone's ready to make that transition, period? How do you judge their readiness when they come to you and they say, I want to do this?
It's a lot of teamwork, really. It's really looking at their specific lifestyle. We really examine that whole exit strategy kind of process. A lot of times, especially if you feel stuck and maybe you're in a toxic workplace, it's easy to look at that shiny object of what it looks like on the other side and want to just say, I quit and figure it out. But as you know, there's a lot of steps to get up to there. And so I like to make that transition very seamless and strategic by looking at your financials and looking to say, okay, how much have you actually researched this new business you're thinking about? Like, let's make that roadmap and look at the financials and be honest to say, oh, maybe I need to work for 6 more months before I officially start this business. But look at all the things I can do during that time to really start to research, take some classes, build a little bit maybe on the side to see if there is a market need for what you're going to offer. So it's really having those conversations with that client to see how ready they are and
Okay.
to look at all of those things, because I want them to really know what they're getting themselves into so they don't just leap into something that sounds new, but they find themselves in the same situation, just in a new role.
Right. Do you find that when you're working with your clients, that sometimes the business that they want to go into isn't the right business and they need to figure out something different?
Yes. And I've had clients come to me with this idea. And then as we start to research what the day to day of that role looks like, they go, ooh, I didn't realize it was going to be so much admin or so much money, budgeting, or this or that, things that they don't like. And then they don't want to pursue it. And then we go to the next option. And I think that's really helpful because I think in doing those exercises, you get to learn and cross it off the list before you actually make those steps to move towards something that won't fit, right? So
And one,
I often say, like, no, this is good news. Let's now figure out that next thing that you want to do.
right. Clarification. So the first step would be for you to help them figure out the research that they need to do.
Yes, yes. And I think through that research, you gain that confidence, don't you think? And then you're confident to move forward. And that's when I think you know in your heart and in your head that this is the right direction for you to go in. Like you said, clarification.
Right, right. Are there common I can't talk today, misconceptions that people have about starting a business after a career? Do you find that, that people have this mindset, I'm going to be in charge and it's going to be wonderful. And they find out being in charge isn't so great?
That can definitely happen. I think the big one is, well, I'm going to replace my salary in a few months' time and everything's going to be wonderful and I'm going to get to travel and da da da. And I always say, because with my first business, my franchise, it was probably 18 months, to be honest, before I was taking that revenue and putting it into my personal bank account. So I always say it's going to be quite some time before you're matching, if you're even lucky enough to match your corporate salary. So you have to look at your priorities and what is important to you. And again, look at those financials and really make sure that you're set up in a way that you're not going to bankrupt your entire family. You want to be methodical about it.
Mm-hmm. And I think that looking at the financials and realizing that they have to be self-sufficient, the bills are still going to come, the house payment's still going to come, your kids are still going to need shoes or whatever. You're still going to need to pay for doctor's appointments, healthcare, all of that. People don't always think about that. And the fact that you are sitting down and working with them to help them look at their financial state, because a lot of people they don't budget. They don't really look at their money. And as long as they can get what they want to get, pay what they need to pay, they're fine. But they're not really looking long term at it. And I think that's really, really great and so crucial,
Mm-hmm.
along with the wake up call with, this is what this actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is what the day to day is going to be. So are you willing to do this? Is this really what you want to do?
Yes. And how much will the business cost to run? And will you need to bring people on? And because a lot of the initial startup costs are one thing, but then you've got those monthly bills, whether you have a brick and mortar location or you're working out of your home, there's all of those bills. And if there's, you have to bring people on, it can just be, it's all the non-sexy stuff, right? Of running a business that you have to think about. You don't want to, but you have to.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And then how do you go about helping individuals identify their skills and the experiences that are going to make that good transfer to whatever it is that they're planning on doing with regard to their business?
Yeah, this is my favorite. I'm certified in UMAP, which is a career assessment, and it pulls all of your skills, your values, your personality, and it really gives you this profile that has everything that you want to be doing that you're good at, so that when you're thinking about a business, you can have your UMAP profile, you can look at the business and you can see what correlates. Because I think that's important. And not just what you're good at, but what you no longer want to do. Because when you're,
Exactly.
right? When
Exactly.
you're picking a second act and you're starting over, you can be a little choosy, don't you think, when you're thinking
Mhm.
about a
And
change?
you should be. You should absolutely be. And one of the things I talk about I did a career transition podcast a couple of years ago is that, yeah, you may be good at accounting, but you may not want to do accounting. You have to take that into consideration. Yeah, you're good at it, but do you want to do it for 40 hours in a week?
Right.
So yeah, that's a really good point to point out, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, and if you don't want to do it, then maybe that's something you have to outsource, because but to know that and be self-aware, I think is a big help.
Hmm. Or maybe you don't like doing sales,
Yeah.
drumming up business. That's not an easy thing to do.
No.
What would you say, Shannon, are the most important skills that someone needs as an entrepreneur to succeed?
Oh gosh, resilience. I think really just being resilient because it's going to be highs and lows, especially in the beginning, and to be vulnerable, right? Because you're learning as you go. A lot of times when we leave our corporate career, we might leave on the top and we think we're this big wig and we know all of the things, but you start as an entrepreneur and you're starting at the bottom. You're starting with your foundation. And you have to be vulnerable enough to ask for help when you need it, to hire when you need it, to lean on people, and to be resilient when things don't go your way. So I think
Mm-hmm.
those are two important. And communicating, like being that communicator, because you need to communicate what you're building to people
Mm-hmm.
in your
Mm-hmm.
circle and out through the marketing, through promoting the business, making partnerships, getting those clients or customers. So being very clear on what it is that you're selling and offering as well.
Okay. So we talked about the looking at the finances and planning. So let's say somebody does that. They have the money. What's the best way that they can manage through that transition, even though they have the money there, but you still have the uncertainty of when the business is going to take off? So how do you help them do that?
Well, it's making sure that all of the pieces are in place, that you've done your market research. I really do believe that market research is another way to give you that confidence that you're offering the right thing. So you can do that so easily nowadays online, just looking at similar businesses, whether they're in your area or in another state or country. You can look to see what the reviews are on that company, what the prices of their products or services are, really what they're offering to their clients or customers. And I think you can see how that relates to what you want to build and maybe how can you make yours a little bit different. But, make that product suite of what you're offering and how do you want to show up on social. And I love talking about your career story and really taking what you've done in your first act, aligning it with your business and creating that narrative about why all of those skills and experience that you've had are now going to make you a really excellent business owner for this reason, and have that all written out. Because I think those are things that you can start to do to get the business off the ground that much quicker. And yeah, and also not to rush, right? Because just because you have the money doesn't mean you need to just get the business out tomorrow. I know done is better than perfect, but you also want to make sure that you have everything in place and ready to go when you present yourself to the world for the first time, don't you think?
Yeah, at least the basics. But some things will change, but you know what your product is, you know how you want to position yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Now, have you found when you are helping your clients There specific industries or businesses that are easier for career switchers to enter?
Not necessarily. I've done a lot of research on franchises because I started with a franchise. So some clients will ask me if that's a great opportunity. And it's funny in doing that research, not that it makes it better or worse for someone, but a lot of the more lucrative franchises for women are the non-glamorous ones. Like there's waste management, there's cleaning services, lighting, like lighting fixtures. Like there's ones that aren't super exciting, but seem to do well with women and be rather lucrative, which I find kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, but
Yeah, I can understand the cleaning services, but the lighting and the waste management, no.
yes, and it's
I would have thought.
interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think across the board, waste management is like a very popularly financially lucrative franchise because it's probably one that a lot of people need, but don't necessarily think or dream of starting a business doing that. But yeah, but I think honestly, it's looking at your passions and what you're interested in. So I have a lot of teachers who come to me and are a little burnt out with the classroom, and we dive into all of their skills and they might still want to educate in one way or another. So whether it's still working with children in a different capacity, or I just spoke with a woman who is wanting to really be an advocate and she wants to write kind of policies and curriculum for nonprofits that help with domestic violence survivors.
Oh,
And
awesome.
that's really interesting because I'm like, wow, you can do that because you have volunteer experience in this area and you've taught for over 20 years. So you're just bringing that education into a different path. And that's quite interesting, I think. So
Yeah,
it's,
and I'll chime in on that. I went to school to be a teacher and I did teach just for a very short time. And then it was hard to find a job. And I transitioned into HR and found being a recruiter kind of lined up with what I wanted to do because I educate managers, I educate the clients, and I have a lot of interaction. And you are fairly independent as a recruiter. You know, you figure out how you're going to run your campaigns to find people and all of that. So yeah. And then in my transition act, which is now,
mhm.
I'm educating people on the different kinds of careers that are available to them. So yeah, I mean, you figure it out.
Yeah.
And, certain careers are a little more flexible that way. Like nurses. Nurses are very versatile and they're
Mhm.
highly educated and extremely focused. And they tend to be very successful when they decide to transition into something else.
That's
So,
great.
yeah.
Yeah. And they're empathetic and they're a good communicator as well. They have
Mhm,
to be.
mhm. Same thing as a teacher. You have to be empathetic and you have to be a good listener and be able to problem solve. So yeah. Yeah, certain careers are easier, but everybody can do it if you want to.
Exactly.
How does someone cultivate the confidence to take this leap? Because it is a big leap, especially for someone that has a family like you did. You know, it's one thing for me to make it a leap. I don't have children. I don't have to worry about feeding someone else so
Right.
much, but other people do.
Yeah. And I find that with a lot of my clients, a lot of women especially feel like, and they do, they hold the house together. And if they do
Mhm.
have children, they're responsible for them or responsible for aging parents. Everyone's got their own responsibilities outside of themselves. But it's, again, going back and doing it very strategically and looking at your personal situation, but having that confidence to know when the right time is, because I always say that you're worthy. And I get a lot of women, and I bet you do too, Cindy, that come and say, well, I don't know if I can really do anything else. And I don't know, shouldn't I just wait until that perfect time? So it's letting women know that they are worthy of finding something that fills them up. Because if you're spending every day working for someone else and you're miserable and you feel stuck, only you can change that situation and you can do it,
Absolutely.
right? And
Yeah.
you deserve that. You don't want to regret it. My biggest thing is 10, 20, 30 years from now, you don't want to look back and say, oh, why did I waste so much time?
Exactly. And I think for women in general, Shannon, we get mistreated in the workplace. You know, there are studies from Lean In and, what's the other organization? I can't think of the other organization, but Lean In did a study a couple of years ago, and they're still kind of building on that, where women, the mistreatment, it comes across in different ways. Sometimes it's overt. Sometimes it's not. You get made to feel that your opinions are not valued because you may say something and you get talked over. And then somebody else comes and says the same thing behind you and they get the credit for it, and so women, they could be harassed. There's just all kinds of mistreatment that women face in the workplace, all kinds of challenges. And so, yeah, that shows up when you're getting ready to transition it, even to look for another job. You may not be making the transition. It's just a job change, but you have to realize that you've been beaten down and you have the skills,
Right.
and I point that out to clients. You have been doing this. You have years of this skill. You have this wonderful experience. You are valuable.
Yes.
And that's worthiness, right?
Yes, it really is. You're absolutely right.
Okay, let me get back to you.
No, I know. I love that we both are on the same page with exactly our missions are so
Exactly.
aligned.
How do you keep yourself motivated, or how can you help your clients stay motivated during transitions? Because it is hard, right? And you can have down periods where you're not getting the response that you thought you would get.
Mm. Yeah, I just had a conversation with a client earlier this week about that same thing. And just my response to her was, it's a long game. It's not going to happen overnight. And you just have to keep moving forward and keep trying. You're doing all of the things. And we all, you, me, we all have those weeks where we have those lows or months that there's lows, but you just keep going and you know that the work you're doing and the efforts that you're putting out there are helping others and they're getting you out there to more people. And I think it's just that being that cheerleader. And I think that's what and I have a business coach myself, but having someone outside of your inner circle and not, outside of your partner that you can say, I need help. I need you to hold my hand. I need you to be my accountability partner and my cheerleader during those low times. Because really we all have them. We all have them. And so it's just knowing that you got to keep going, stay the path, and, things will pick up.
And it'll turn itself around. And it
Yeah.
can be long, and sometimes you have just little bits of encouragement, and you have to realize you're getting it, what that looks like when you get it. And it can take you a long way through the challenging times, right?
Oh,
So, yeah. Could you, without using any name identifiers, because we want to always maintain confidentiality, but could you share a success story of someone you've helped make a transition from a career to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I have so many, but one that's kind of more recent is this wonderful client of mine who had gotten divorced around 60. So she turned 60, divorced, and she came to me and she realized she spent her whole adult life building her husband's medical practice. She had nothing of her own to show for it. And she said, what she really wanted to do was bake in a nutritious way because she was a cancer survivor. She had all of these health issues and she had gotten her nutrition's license and she learned how to bake gluten-free, sugar-free, vegan, all of the things so that she could enjoy those foods. And she wanted to bake foods and teach other people how they could still enjoy these foods in a healthier way.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And so she worked on building this business. And then a couple of months ago, she called and said, I just sold a bunch of cakes to a local restaurant. And then has just been going on ever since then.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And it's wonderful because they're promoting her and then another restaurant picked her up. And I just love it because I feel like people always say, I'll wait, or I don't know, there's not a good time. Well, she was 60 and she just recreated herself and reinvented herself. And it's just beautiful. She found herself.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of people can identify with that because whether you're 60 or not, that whole divorce scenario can be a very, very tough one because our society makes us feel like we failed, right? And so as women, I think we take it more to heart than men do.
Mm-hmm.
And you can drag that with you and it's not good. It makes you feel less than.
Yeah. And when you're faced with a situation like that, I think you can either choose to, crawl up and make it really define you, or do what this woman did and just say, nope, I'm going to make something of myself. And thank goodness she did that because who knows what would have happened if she didn't.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
even if you crawl up for a while, that's okay.
Oh,
Just
that's
avoid
okay.
it, right? Just come out of it and do what you
Yep.
want to do.
Yes. We all need to crawl up and cry for, at times, of course.
Exactly. What are some of the common mistakes that you've seen people making that career transition, and how can they avoid them? Do you have any advice there for us?
I think sometimes listening to others can weigh on you and weigh on the decisions that you make. And sometimes I'll have women come to me and say that they haven't told their partner, or they haven't told their mother or best friend that they're thinking about this. And my advice, I say, is keep it to yourself. Keep it close to your chest while you're doing your research and you're making sure that this is 1,000% what you want to do. And then when you have that confidence, you're going to tell people, and it's not going to matter as much what they say because you are confident.
Mm-hmm. And that's very true. I can remember people can burst your bubbles
Yes.
and shoot down your dreams. And I can think of an instance that happened to me as I told my husband about writing a cookbook, right? This was years ago. I wanted to write a specialized cookbook for people that had an intolerance to dairy products and other kinds of foods that their systems wouldn't accept. And he said, "Oh, nobody's going to read your book. You're not famous." And I went, I let it derail me. And so it happens, and it happens all the time. And yeah, you want to be careful with who you share your dreams with, because they can derail you very easily because you're in that vulnerable state thinking about it. And, you tell someone that you value and you love, and they shoot it down, and you go, "Oh, yeah. Well, if they don't believe in me, who else is going to believe in me?"
When really they're just projecting their fears onto you. They want to protect you, but they also are not maybe the person that would make that decision or make that leap. And so, yeah, I think it's important to know yourself, the kind of person you are. Are you easily swayed by others? But yeah, and if you are, then keep it close to your chest while you do it. I hope you get to write your cookbook.
Oh, I'm way past that now. But I mean, that was like 40 years ago, maybe.
You remember it still. You remember it, Cindy.
Yeah, I mean, it came up because it was that you tell someone and then they shoot it down and you let that derail you. And now other people have written the same kind of thing. I don't need to write it.
Yeah,
But
I know,
yeah, if I do something, there'll be something else. Actually, I do write, and it's children's. It's directed towards children.
even better.
Yeah. Okay. If you look back, is there anything you wish you'd done differently in your own career transition?
Not really. Not
That's
really,
wonderful.
because I feel like I really did accomplish everything I wanted to accomplish in television. I kind of, while I was thinking of leaving, I looked up to see what my bosses were doing and, did I want that job and where could I see myself? And I was like, gosh, I have so many stories and worked with amazing, talented people. And I think I did enough there. And then the couple missteps I did before I opened my first business were learning steps, learning lessons. And then, so I think everything really happens for a reason and leads
I
you to where you are.
totally believe that. Yeah,
Mhm.
I totally believe that. What are some of the learning experiences that you've gained from working with clients and seeing different ways to do things? So that everybody does things differently. We have different ideas and it all works. It can all work. So are there any of those that you can share with us?
Yeah, I just get such a kick out of talking to other women who have these ideas and they can see it and it's them trying to explain it to me. And I love it because it's just that visualization piece of like, no, but this is going to work because of X, Y, and Z. And then actually watching as they make it come to life is just the coolest part, I think. And then also there's one story of a client who left her teaching job, another teacher, and she started a business. And maybe 6 months in, or during that time, she also got pregnant again. And so finances were a big thing, and she was a little worried about finances. And then she called me several months after we stopped working together, and she said, "You know what? I'm going back to teaching." And I said, "You know what? That is the best decision for you and your family." She just didn't get the business to where she wanted it, and that's okay. I told her, "You built this business, you tried it, you'll never regret it, and you can either let it sit where it is or you can grow it while you're teaching, but You tried. You tried it. It didn't fit. And you went back to what you knew you needed to do for your family. And I like to share that story because I think she thought I was going to be disappointed in her. And I wasn't
Mm,
at all because she tried. And I think that's all that you can ask for your friend, right? You just want other women to try something because then you'll know. But I think that's a good lesson. And I enjoyed seeing that process because now she's happy where she is and she's in control of the business if she chooses to keep running it or not.
hmm hmm
So I
And you
think,
don't have that doubt, I didn't try. What would have happened if I
no.
tried?
Right.
You know,
And
because
be
sometimes
proud
it
of
isn't the
yourself.
right. Yeah. Sometimes it's just not right, right? Whether it's the timing or it's just not the right thing. And so you can't beat yourself up for being adventurous and being bold and trying to act on your dreams. It's better
No.
than not trying. And what's that saying? It's something about don't die with the music still in you. I can't think of the right phrasing, but it's everybody has music to share. And if you don't try to get it out,
Right.
and express it, you're going to
Mhm.
have regrets.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to have regrets.
No.
You may have regrets about something, but little things, but not the big things, not the things that are in your heart.
Have regrets about ex-boyfriends, but don't have regrets about business
About your
and dreams.
career and your life in general. How do you now this is a kind of a loaded question because right now the climate in the country is just so crazy with regard to business. And I can certainly understand it if people say, I'm just going to hold here for a while and see what happens because things are going up. The stock market's going up and down. We don't know what's going to happen with, the prices on groceries. Look at what happens with eggs, and they're still paying a lot for them. I mean, there's just a lot of uncertainty. But when you think about the future and you envision what it's going to look like with regard to entrepreneurship, what do you think that's going to look like? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I've been spending a lot of time thinking about it because there are so many layoffs and people are scared and what to do. And so my hope is that it encourages a lot of people to get into entrepreneurship, even if it's something smaller like a side hustle or, say, an Etsy shop or something that you can do that's on the side that can bring in some existing income while you're figuring everything else out. Because I think whether you're a doctor, whether you're a teacher, no matter what your position, nothing is as stable as we used to think some jobs are. And so why not have something that's yours, only yours on the side that can bring some income and start building that? So I'm hoping a lot of people will go that route thinking that they can control what they build, while we wait and see. But I don't know. That's just my hope for others.
Yeah, it's true. I have a women's group on LinkedIn, and when I first started it, I talked to a lot of the ladies one on one, and that joined the group. And what I found was a lot of them were doing side hustles and planning on doing something different, which I think is really good. And that was before this last year where AI came in and kind of changed everything. And so I think that's a really good idea for individuals. Yeah, maybe you don't want to leave your current job. You want to write it out and see what's going to happen. Have a side hustle. If you don't want to leave your job and you're kind of not too happy, my advice to them would be make sure that you have skills that you're investing in yourself, because these days companies don't really invest in you. They expect you to invest in you.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it, who's going to? So the immediate one would be to make sure that you're knowledgeable about AI and use it, so that figure out a way to use it in your current role and just
Hmm.
get used to using it. It'll make you much more efficient. But the other things are, if you have a plan on where you want to be next step in your career and there's something that's missing, maybe it's a course in management skills, maybe it's tightening up your computer skills like Microsoft, the suite, Excel and
Oh, yeah.
PowerPoint and whatever. Go do that. Go
Hmm.
do that. Make sure those skills are sharp, because no matter where you go, you're going to end up needing those skills. And then also work on your soft skills, your communication skills, your ability to get along with others, your ability to be creative and problem solve, work on those skills and hone them, because the soft skills that what employers are looking for now is soft skills in the work environment. And you have to be able to have those things, say that you have them, show that you have used them, and be collaborative. And that's what's important. So for anyone listening, you can go back and listen to a soft skills podcast that I did, but because there are a lot of them, but there are things that you will need for the future, because the world of work is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're either going to be in the corporate environment or working for somebody else, or you're going to do it and have your own business.
Mm-hmm. And what you just were mentioning, that's good for either, whether you're working in corporate or you're working for yourself. And same thing with, even you mentioned LinkedIn briefly, like making sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to date for what you're thinking about doing as well. Like that's, so how often you probably get so many clients that come to you and haven't updated their resume or LinkedIn in years and years. And that's something we should all really have up to date, whether you're an entrepreneur or still working 9 to 5, like have those things. Yeah.
That's very true, Shannon, because it's very hard. You should always keep your resume updated. Whether it's updated that you can send it out, maybe not, but you should always add the skills and things that you are learning to it, your accomplishments to it, because as we go along, we tend to forget. And so, because we're also overwhelmed, there's so much inundating us with social media and television and the news and this and that. It's just overwhelming. And so you can forget some of the accomplishments that you have done, and they're really good. Don't forget them, write them down. So you should always keep a resume that is close to finely tuned that you can send out, because it's just a good thing to do. It's good business for your career.
Yes, I agree.
Tell us about your book, because you've got a book coming out soon in 2 weeks. Yeah.
That's another act for me. I had wanted to be a writer forever, and I wrote a book called Start Your Second Act: How to Change Careers, Launch a Business, and Create Your Best Life. So it's all about my career transition and that of some of my clients and other women, and my strategies that I teach when you're thinking about that second act. So I'm hoping it's a tool that women can grab and really start to get them inspired to take some action steps towards what they want to do.
Now, where can they find this? Will it be on your website? Are you going to have it on Amazon? Tell us where we can find it.
It'll be in bookstores, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and you can go to startyoursecondAct.com to find it as well.
And that's your website?
Yes, that's the website for the book. My actual website is secondactsuccess.co.
Okay. All right. And I'll be sure to list those when we publish the podcast.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Shannon, it's been delightful talking to you.
You too.
And I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yes, you're gonna be on my podcast, which will be wonderful. So yeah, I love this conversation. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been great. And I just know that the listeners will appreciate it. And as you know, our podcasts are evergreen. So when somebody's there, you'll be there to coach them and help them realize, hey, maybe I do want to do this.
Yeah, I hope so.
Reach out to Shannon. Yeah.
Yeah, we're cheering them on.
Absolutely. Well, okay, I will let you go and encourage other people to start their own businesses and do whatever you've got to do for your book launch, because I know it's very, very intricate and time consuming.
Yep, it's a big couple weeks coming up.
All right. Well, Shannon, take care.
Thank you. You too, Cindy.
All right. Bye-bye. Did you enjoy the show? Well, keep listening, and don't forget to like us. If you've been laid off or downsized or need a career pivot, if you need resume help or to sharpen your interview skills, I can help you. Set up a complimentary 20-minute call with me on my website at www.insidescareerclub.com. Until next time, may God bless you, keep you, and make his face to shine upon you. Take care.